When people think about learning English, they usually imagine grammar books, vocabulary lists, or speaking with foreigners. Those things matter, but they are not the true foundation of language learning. The real foundation lies much deeper, in your mindset and motivation. Without the right mindset, even the best textbook won't help. Without motivation, even the best teacher can't push you far. But with the right mindset and motivation, you can teach yourself more than a school can ever give you. That's why, before we talk about listening, speaking, reading, or writing, we must begin with what happens inside your mind. Because if you set this foundation correctly, everything else will follow. Imagine two learners starting at the same level. One is full of enthusiasm, tells themselves, "I will do this every day because English will change my life," and accepts mistakes as part of the process. The other learner is anxious, always afraid of being judged, studies only when forced, and gives up after a few weeks of difficulty. After 1 year, the first learner is speaking, listening, and enjoying English naturally, while the second learner is still stuck, repeating the same beginner lessons. The difference is not intelligence. It is mindset. That is why this chapter is crucial. The first thing to understand is that learning English is not a short trip, it is a lifelong journey. Too many people want results in 3 months. They say, "I want to speak like a native quickly." But that thinking only leads to disappointment. A language is like a tree, you cannot force it to grow overnight. You water it daily, give it sunlight, protect it from damage, and over months and years, it grows strong. If you keep digging it up to check the roots, the tree will never grow. In the same way, if you keep testing yourself after 1 week and feeling disappointed, you destroy your own growth. The real secret is patience combined with consistency. A little effort every single day will take you further than extreme effort for only a short time. But patience alone is not enough. You need the correct identity. Too many learners see themselves as students of English. That identity is weak. A student waits for teachers, textbooks, or classes. A student feels dependent on others. Instead, you must see yourself as a user of English. A user does not wait for permission, a user finds ways to practice every day. If you think of yourself as a user, then suddenly you realize you don't need a classroom. You can use English when writing your phone notes, when talking to yourself, when playing games online, when posting on social media. A student says, "I can't improve because I don't have a native friend." A user says, "I'll record my voice, I'll shadow a podcast, I'll write comments online." This small shift in identity makes a huge difference. Of course, even with the best identity, there will be challenges. The biggest one is fear, fear of mistakes, fear of embarrassment, fear of being judged. This fear is the prison that keeps millions of learners silent. They may know grammar, they may know vocabulary, but they do not dare to speak. The truth is, fear is natural. Even children feel it. But the difference is that children don't care as much about being perfect. They speak, they laugh at mistakes, they try again. Adults, on the other hand, worry about looking stupid. If you can learn to welcome mistakes instead of fearing them, you will unlock fluency much faster. Every mistake is feedback. Every mistake shows you exactly where to improve. Without mistakes, there is no growth. Think about it, When you learned to ride a bicycle, you fell many times. Did anyone laugh at you? Maybe, but you still kept going until balance became natural. English works the same way. Now let's talk about motivation. There are two main kinds: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is when you learn because of exams, job requirements, or pressure from others. Maybe your boss says you must pass a test, or your parents want you to study. That kind of motivation can help you start, but it does not last. Once the exam is over, you stop. Intrinsic motivation is different. It comes from inside. You learn because you enjoy the process, because English connects to your hobbies, because you feel excited when you understand a movie without subtitles. Intrinsic motivation is stronger and longer lasting. So the key question is, how can you connect English to things you love? If you love music, listen to English songs and sing along. If you love games, join English-speaking teams. If you love movies, watch them in English. If you love self-improvement, read English books on that topic. Don't force yourself to study boring material. Attach English to your passion, and motivation will never run out. Still, motivation naturally rises and falls like waves. Some days you feel unstoppable, other days you feel tired. That's normal. That's why habits matter more than emotions. A habit is something you do without needing motivation. For example, brushing your teeth doesn't require motivation, you just do it. If you can turn English practice into a daily habit, then you no longer need to fight with yourself. How can you do that? Start small. Instead of saying, "I will study for 2 hours every day," start with 5 minutes. Listen to one podcast every morning while brushing your teeth. Write 3 sentences every night before bed. These tiny actions are easy to do, and over time, they build momentum. Once the habit is strong, you can expand it. But if you start too big, you will quit. Remember, consistency is the secret weapon. Another part of mindset is how you measure progress. Too many learners measure progress by perfection. They say, "I still make mistakes, so I am not improving." That is the wrong measurement. A better measurement is comparison with your past self. Can you understand more than last month? Can you speak longer than last year? Can you read more pages without using a dictionary? Those are real signs of progress. If you measure correctly, you will stay motivated. If you measure wrongly, you will feel stuck even when you are growing. You should also accept that there will be plateaus. A plateau is when you feel like you are not improving even though you are practicing. Every learner experiences this. In reality, your brain is still working, still building connections, still preparing for the next breakthrough. But because progress is invisible, you feel frustrated. The key is to trust the process. Keep going, and suddenly, one day, you notice huge improvement. Quitting during a plateau is the biggest mistake. Let's also talk about environment. Your environment can either support or destroy your motivation. If you spend all day surrounded by people who say, "Why are you wasting time with English? It's too hard," you will eventually believe them. If you spend time with people who are also learning, who encourage you, who celebrate small wins, you will keep going. That's why it's important to create a positive learning environment. Join online communities, find language partners, or simply follow English learners on social media. When you see others practicing, you feel inspired to do the same. Finally, remember that mindset is not something you set once and forget. It must be renewed every day. Some days you will wake up motivated, some days not. On the difficult days, remind yourself why you started. Write down your reason. Maybe it's to get a better job, to travel confidently, to study abroad, or simply to feel proud of yourself. Keep that reason visible, on your wall, on your phone, anywhere you can see it daily. When motivation falls, that reason will carry you forward. So what is the summary of this chapter? Learning English begins in your mind. See yourself not as a student but as a user. Accept mistakes as natural. Focus on consistency rather than intensity. Connect English to your passions to fuel intrinsic motivation. Build small daily habits that grow into lifelong routines. Measure progress by comparing with your past self, not by chasing perfection. Expect plateaus but trust the process. Surround yourself with supportive environments and remind yourself daily why English matters to you. If you establish this foundation, every other skill, listening, speaking, reading, writing, will become much easier. Mindset and motivation are invisible, but they are the most powerful tools you have. They are the engine behind the journey. Without them, even the best resources won't help. With them, even limited resources will be enough. That's why this chapter comes first. You are not just learning English, you are shaping the way you see yourself, the way you face challenges, and the way you grow as a person. If you win in the mind, you will win in the language.